Hi, it's Karen here from the Food and Drink Show, and you're very welcome joining me here in the studio. Well, today we have a young gentleman who has come from the Netherlands. He's been traveling all over the world, and he's taken something that was a passion from a young age and turned it into a very successful business proposition. It's a young business. It involves one of my favorite foods, which is a burger. Do you like a burger? But he's doing something a bit different with inspiration that he picked up from across the water in America. We have got Richard Van Megen from Chuckaburger, a new business set up in a food truck in Hove. Enjoy.
Okay.
Good, fantastic. So, Richard, it is just great that you can be with us here in the Food and Drink studio and having this conversation about, what you do, how you got into it all in the first place. Because this is the amazing thing, isn't it, where food is concerned. Everybody loves food. Yeah. Would you agree?
I very much agree.
Have you always loved food?
Yes. One of the things I've always been quite keen on is eating, especially good food, but burgers especially. That's always been a very big passion of mine. Ever from a young age, I love burgers.
Really? So that was your thing. Now, I mean, I think it's fair to say I don't know anybody who doesn't like a burger. Whatever way you have it. I mean, you could have a vegan one, a vegetarian one, a meat one, a chicken one. But there's something about the bun and what goes inside and piling it high with whatever you want in there. It's one of the best things, is it?
I agree. And the good thing about burgers is you can make a million combinations, right? You have like different kind of buns, different flavors, different toppings, different patties, beef, lamb, chicken, vegan, veggie. There's so many possibilities out there that there's always something there for someone. And these days with all the dietary requirements, it's really well catered for. And I think that makes a burger so versatile for so many people and so popular.
And the other thing that I love about the burger, it's a bit like a cup of coffee. It's a great leveler. In other words, doesn't matter, about how much money you have, how affluent you are. Everybody loves it and it's affordable. Now, yes, it goes in price ranges, but ultimately someone somewhere can afford a burger.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's what's great. You can sit around and share the same food. And there is that comfort in that and in just that home cooking sort of sense it brings up in you, isn't there? It's a feel-good factor.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was younger, whenever I had a burger, I was like, oh, nice. What you just had, like a nice cup of coffee in the morning, it wakes you up. When you eat a burger, at least for me personally, it's like, oh, nice, a good burger. And it just satisfies you, like you're done. Whether that's just a quick snack. Okay, burger might be a bit of a big snack, but whether it's for lunch or dinner, like there's always a possibility to satisfy your needs. These days, like people start looking at like breakfast burgers.
Yes, definitely.
There's a big chain out there that does breakfast burgers in a way.
Sure does.
They call it differently.
Get your egg on there. Beautiful. Love it.
Essentially, it's the same, right?
Yeah.
It's just catering for a different part of the day.
You're right in thinking about that with the burger in the fact that, you can eat it at any time. And we just get our mind around, the different kind of burgers we have and the fact that the combination really, normally it is a bread bun. You can have it without, but you got to have the bread bun.
Yeah.
And then there's a filling and there's toppings. So when you take that in, you could have it at any time. But it always feels like a treat. Yeah. Why is that?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah. I think because it's the flavor profiles that come together. It's the bread, the softness of the bread. It's the beefiness of the burger. It's the richness of the sauce. It's like different textures, different flavors, and they all come together in one. And I genuinely believe that is probably what makes a burger so good.
And, oh, listen, hey, we could get into buns, couldn't we? You know, what do you do? Of course, the trends now is the brochet bun, but there's all different ways. But when we even think about the burger, there's even, like when we come into the summer months, about getting the barbecue out. And then all of a sudden, people who never normally cook, it's, yeah, great, I'm going to take over the barbecue, get the burgers on.
Yeah.
And of course, the sausages go in there as well.
Yeah.
Now, we're not always talking great quality, but there's still that treat feel with let's light up the barbecue. And it's simple to cook.
Even with barbecues, you know, it's a different technique, right? The way how I do burgers is a certain technique that's not really used much here in the UK. But there are burgers that are just pan fried. When you do it on open flame grill on the barbecue, you get like that smokiness in your beef. You can put it in the broiler or under the grill or in the oven. There's so many different ways of making a burger. I always look at the burger as like, treat it like a piece of steak, right? There's so many ways how to cook a steak as well. You can do it sous vide, you can pan fry, you can do it on the grill. But the way how you make the burger really determines like how someone experiences the burger as well.
My mouth is watering. Now let's get into how you do your burgers, because we are talking about Chuckaburger, recently opened in Hove. It is a food truck.
Yes.
On the side of the road that you can go and have what really could be described as a gourmet burger.
Yeah.
Because you're about quality meat. You mentioned steak there, so it's all in the meat.
Yes.
But it's not just about that, is it? You do something quite different with how you cook the burger. So please share with us.
Yes.
What's the point of difference?
So starting with the meat, my belief with any burger, the beef should be the star of the show. It's always about the beef. Someone once told me, someone who wants a blue cheese burger doesn't actually like the burger, they like blue cheese.
Yeah, good point.
So
strong taste.
Exactly, it takes away the taste of the beef. So for me, like I've actually developed my blend of beef for over 12 months. I've tried different combinations of cuts. I went with dry age, tried that, different levels of fat quantity. And 12 months later, I am where I am today.
So you blend the meat?
Yeah, it's not one cut of the...
How interesting.
So yeah, it's obviously the cow consists of different cuts. And together with a butcher in Westdean Butchers, we've come up with a blend that's just for Chuckaburger.
Is it a secret formula?
Yes. Yeah.
Because this is your trademark burger.
Yeah. And so far the feedback from people has been amazing. You know, so many people have been raving about the quality of the beef. And that for me is the biggest compliment I can get. You know, something I've been working on really, really hard to make sure that that's right. And to have the people, you know, tell me that the meat is amazing, like that just satisfies me so much. Like that motivates me. It makes me happy. And when I tell my butcher as well, you know, the other day it's like, yes, you know, we did it.
That is so good.
And it's so important to have such good relationships with your, you know, with such an important partner as well. I mean, partner, you know.
Well, the supply chain is really important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And what goes with quality as well is sustainability. So when we're thinking about the cuts that you bring together, how sustainable is your burger?
From what I've understand, it's all 100% grass-fed, locally sourced, but only good quality cows. I asked him, are you ever thinking about, you know, doing like Scotch beef or Dexter beef? It's like, no, the beef I get right now, in my opinion, is the best quality beef. And for me, that is, you know, he stands with his product and so do I. So that's really important for me.
And that's lovely because it's part of your story as well too, isn't it? And bringing that sense of story to the burger, not to take lightly the eating of meat, but to eat good quality and enjoy what you have. Now, part of your story, I mean, Richard, you know, you come from the Netherlands, but you're very well travelled. For goodness sake, you are a pilot. It was a major part of your life.
Yeah, and it still is.
So how did you go from being a pilot to getting involved in food trucks?
Two words. Well, actually four. Bad luck and good luck. So bad luck is that a week before the lockdown was initiated in 2020, I joined a new airline in the UK. And unfortunately, 6 months later, I was faced with compulsory redundancy. That created a situation where I had to look beyond, what I've been doing for 7.5 years. And I saw an advert on Indeed where a local food truck was looking for someone to run his second food truck. I applied, and all of a sudden I started renting a food truck under someone else's name and started selling pancakes. We did that for 6 months. Unfortunately, the relationship ended after 6 months. But I figured this is such a good way of bringing food to the people from a food truck. I started diving more into like the food truck scene in America because, me traveling to America so often in the past as a pilot, I knew there were a lot of food trucks down there. And there's been so many like successful companies that now have brick and mortar premises that started with a food truck. And I figured like, you know what? It's the best way. If you're in a certain location and it doesn't work, you can move location. It's so versatile. You can do events with people. You can do festivals, fairs, weddings even. There's so much possibility out there. And having that food truck has really, really helped. It's a different way of thinking because when you have like your fixed premises, you've got everything. You've got your big fridges, your storage. I've got a little prep kitchen up here in Hove. And that's where I've got all my storage. And every day I have to go up there, load my van, make sure I've got enough products in supply with me based on, previous sales, experience, like how much do I need to bring with me. And that's a bit of a gamble sometimes.
That is an adjustment. Yeah. Yes. Having done outside catering and even having a little ice cream little unit, on a bicycle too. You go to an event and think, have I got enough here? Depending on the weather and are the ticket sales going to be what they say, and where are the rest of the supplies? Help, if I run out.
Yeah.
That is a tricky situation you're getting into. So there you were. Sort of being very industrious, to make that switch over from being made redundant. I can't imagine that was an easy thing, but to go from being a pilot to being, serving pancakes, was it a difficult process for you?
Yes and no. It sounds a bit weird, but it was really hard for me to be told that I'm forced to pause my pilot career after having done it for so many years and being so used to that lifestyle. At the same time, I'm also the kind of person like, okay, you know what? This is what happened, and now it's time to move on. You need to, at the end of the day, bills need to be paid, right?
For sure.
Family needs to be looked after. So fairly quickly, I shifted into, all right, what's next? What are we going to do in this pandemic, which is causing a lot of trouble, and where are the opportunities? And I found that in that food truck when I saw the advert. I'm like, that is something that could really, really work. And also being your own boss is nice. Setting your own times, being able to sort of do what you want. Sure, it was within the limitations of what the owner of the food truck wanted me to do with his pancakes because it was still under his brand. But it gave me a sort of freedom. And as a pilot, you got a bit of freedom as well, where you travel around the world. You're up at 40,000 feet. It's an environment where not a lot of people are in. So for me, having that freedom of being my own boss was really, really, really helpful. And I think that helped me moving on, not rather quickly, but helped me sort of put it aside that my pilot career has been paused.
Sometimes, Richard, taking a break from one thing and trying something completely different, which is very different, can be really good. Mindfully, we discover ourselves. There's something else about ourselves, our lives, that we would never have had the time, because we didn't have the time to search. So in those early months of you working within the food truck, statutory, not traveling miles, out in the cold, face to face with your customer, not leading the way in a little box at the front of the plane.
With a closed door.
The closed door.
Yeah.
So what do you remember feeling about all of that? What was going through your mind and your heart really at that time?
Yeah. The thing is, before my pilot career, I've always been like in sales, especially like suit stores. I used to sell suits as a teenager. So I've always been quite customer focused. And when I started, facing customers again face to face, which is different obviously from my previous role, all of a sudden everything just came back again. It's that, chatty guy coming out again, having the chat with the people on the streets. Sure, when it's really busy, which it really was at some point during the pandemic, all you do is just orders, cook, hand out. Orders, cook, hand out. It was literally like a factory almost. But when you do have time and you're able to chat with the people, it's really nice to hear their story. And quite often you just ask them one or two questions and the people start talking to you. They start telling me their story.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to hear so many different stories from people. And I genuinely believe, like, with a food truck on the street, it's easier to connect with someone than when it's inside a brick and mortar premises.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because you're up there and you're looking for what you're going to have cooked for you, and then it's cooking, and depending on how busy it is, you need to have a little bit of interaction, otherwise it seems a bit awkward. So hearing stories about people, how lovely, making those connections, which you certainly wouldn't have had, sort of in the air, so to speak. Huge responsibility in an aeroplane for people's lives. Is there anything that would correlate with that when you're running a food business?
Yeah, I definitely think so. At the end of the day, when you cook food for people, people expect it to be tidy, hygienic. Like, you want your food to be prepared in a nice, clean kitchen. You want to make sure that your stock, is within day, that it's still good. Your stock rotation needs to be good. It's all stuff that I had to learn along the way. I took courses to, food safety courses to understand all that. But I definitely believe that food safety is really, really important for any food business. So when it comes to safety, yeah, it's a different kind of safety. But it's still safety that, if you offer a bad product and people can get ill from it, you're responsible for it.
And that's the end of your business, really, because word will spread.
Quickest way to ruin your reputation.
Completely, and very hard to recover from that because of the World Wide Web, and everything gets recorded, doesn't it? Whatever we're doing. So we're very fortunate now that you've started this business in Brighton and Hove. You're married to a Brighton lass, so it was a natural fit for you to stay local with your business. You decided to go into burgers because you loved burgers. You always have done as a child. Yeah. And you mentioned that it was what you experienced in America, I suppose, the land of the burger. We credited the States with the burger. Is that correct, or have we got that wrong?
Not entirely. If you really go far, far back, there's evidence that it originates in Russia, then being moved over to Hamburg in Germany. And then during the big movement from Germans towards America, that's where the hamburger steak was introduced in America. I don't remember where it was, but I think it was Louis' Lunch in America, where they start putting it in between two sandwiches or two bread slices. That's where they started calling the hamburger. But the actual hamburger steak originates in Russia, according to the evidence that I've seen. But America is where they start putting it between two pieces of bread, from what I understand.
Well, isn't that interesting? And I mean, these are the food stories we know, isn't it? That food has traveled the world, and there can be one country just by how they approach it that they sort of really take ownership of it. But when you look at the origins, for example, the croissant is another one that we all think came from France. So it's quite fascinating, that. So thank you for telling us the story about the burger. Now, your story with going to America, looking at what they were doing in Arizona, and it's something to do with like a smash burger. I mean, the mind boggles. What do you do when you're smashing a burger, is it?
Yeah. So my first experience in America with the sort of style burger that I do now is actually based on what In-N-Out is doing. They don't do smash burgers. They do have like thinner patties with a nice crust, but it's not a typical smash burger. The smash burgers that I do is something that's been developed in the burger scene in LA, Los Angeles particularly, where I've seen like all these little pop-ups where they smash the burger on the grill and they get a really nice caramelized effect on the beef. It's called the Maillard reaction. They break down proteins, amino acids, and it creates like a lot of extra beefy flavor. But also because you sear that bottom, like the juices stay inside the patty. And that's what I do now. So I've got a ball of meat, a really big heavy-duty spatula, and I press it down on a really hot grill. Immediately, that beef starts like caramelizing on the bottom, and you get a really nice texture of a smash burger. And that's what makes a smash burger so typically a smash burger. It's the texture, it's the juiciness, it's the extra beefy flavor compounds. One of the things I've noticed in the UK that people in general like to serve quite thick patties. And what I've always found with thicker patties is that 95% of the people, when they sell burgers, by law, you have to cook them well done. Because the only way to be able to cook a medium or rare, however you want it, is if you grind your meat in-house. Most people get a burger delivered to their shop, so it needs to be cooked well done. But in order to cook the center of the beef well done, the outside starts drying up a bit because it's exposed to heat and all the juices go down to the center. It's a bit like a steak again. So in order to have the juices come back to the outside, you actually need to let a burger rest. But then it doesn't make a burger fast food anymore. So I found that burgers, especially the thicker patties, are actually quite dry sometimes on the outside. And when you get to the core, that's when the juices start coming back in. So what I've done, I've got two smaller patties. I basically divided in half. So instead of having one big one, I do two smaller ones. Extra texture, extra juices, no risk of drying out the burger. And all in all, just, a really, really good burger.
Oh, and maybe in the bun as well, too. I'm thinking, oh, fantastic. I get 2 for 1 here
Yeah.
in what I have. So it's really interesting. And just what you mentioned there about time being very important, because we do associate a burger, particularly if it's from a truck, sort of fast food, meaning I haven't got much time to wait. If I'm sitting in a restaurant, I'm quite happy. If it came out too fast, I think, hey, hang on a minute now. Has that been sitting for a while? Isn't there? It's amazing how location, and your mindset can also affect your perception of the food that's going to arrive on your plate. So the way that you've taken this style of burger, you have brought it here to the UK. You've made it your own because of sort of, if you like, the cuts of meat that go into your burger. What else makes your burger unique to you?
I would probably say the secret Chukka sauce.
Ah.
Yeah, there's a mix of different ingredients. What I can say is mayonnaise based.
Okay.
I can say there's mustard in there because I'm an allergen, so I always have to say that.
I'm sure we'd be able to taste that.
Well, actually, there's 1 or 2 ingredients in there that are not originally from the UK.
Oh,
it's
okay.
It's a little bit something that comes from the Netherlands.
How nice! You're bringing a little bit of sort of home soul in there.
Yes. And that makes my burger sauce quite unique in a way. And nobody knows the recipe except for me, not even my wife.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, one of my best buddies here in Brighton is from the Netherlands. Maybe we'll have to go and eat it and see if she can pinpoint your secret recipe.
Yeah, let's see. More than happy to give it a go.
We'll have to do that. And Paul Couchman, who is a presenter as part of the Food and Drink Show team, he lived in the Netherlands and did a lot of cooking while feeding people in a squat. So he spent a long time in the Netherlands. So maybe we'll have that taste test, see if we can isolate what's in the sauce. But I actually think a little bit of mystery is also a lovely thing, because that means we come back to you. Maybe what'll you do? Could you start selling your sauces in the future? I mean, what are your plans?
Well, that's very far away, like when you start selling your own products. My mission is to make Chuckaburger a household name. I want people in 1-2 years, when they think like, oh, what shall we have tonight? Oh, let's get a burger. Oh, where from? Chuckaburger.
Nice.
That's what I want people to associate burgers with. And I generally think I am onto something. I mean, obviously I have to, otherwise I wouldn't be starting my company. But yeah, I hope to have a brick and mortar premises. Hopefully within 12 months, at least, start looking at like a lease or whatever brick and mortar premises I can find. And then, over the years, maybe roll out a few more shops, more burger bars. Very casual, low-key, nothing fancy. Maybe some high tables, some bar stools. I would love to introduce Dutch fries as well to the menu. For a food truck, unfortunately, I've realized that the logistics is just really, really hard, the whole process of making Dutch fries. But once I have a brick and mortar premises, I will be able to introduce that. It's labor consuming. It costs a lot of time. So it's something that needs to be carefully looked at. But yeah, that's, a couple more burger flavors, maybe some specials. One of the things I do in America is, for example, the chili burger, hedge green chili burger. They do pastrami burgers around the LA burger pop-up scene.
Yeah,
something
nice.
to be experimenting
get a feel
with.
For that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about the food truck? Because I mean, you talked romantically about the food truck and how it keeps you connected with people and hearing their stories. Will the food truck still be part of your business?
Yeah.
Even when you have.
It's a really difficult question to answer right now, to be honest. Like my food truck has become my little baby. But you sometimes also need to be quite rational about things. And like, does the food truck still fit right now within the concept of the business that I want to have? I can see two routes. Like, yes, you keep it, and you go out to like festivals and events.
Yeah, perfect.
And you bring Chuckaburger out there. And it's a little bit because the food truck at the moment isn't the most optimal for the way how I want it to run, or you might get rid of this one and you get a new one to replace it that's custom built to the way how you really want it. But it's a really hard question to answer. The food truck will always be part of Chuckaburger, but it could maybe be in hiatus before a food truck is back on the road, or we keep the food truck and we just bring it out there to festivals and make it a big thing. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
That's all. Well,
it's a
you're
work in
such
progress.
A young business anyway, with that. Now, to start your own business, did you have the capital to invest in it, or did you have to seek capital?
Yeah, I had a bit of my own savings that was initially, meant to go in for a deposit for a house. Unfortunately, during pandemic, they stopped sending out mortgage or giving out mortgages. So I used that capital to invest in a food truck. I had a small loan from family to help me out, and then a little bit of a gift from my own parents. And that's how I've been able to fund my own food truck. So luckily, I'm not involved with any banks or creditors or other partners.
And you took that risk, and I applaud you with that, because, not everybody would go out there and take that risk, could be risk adverse, particularly, as you said, a deposit to own your own home. That was a big thing, and you must have a loving, supportive partner there that said, yeah, come on, let's do this, because it was more than your life that was involved in that, and having the backup of family. And we've been talking to other restaurant owners here on the Food and Drink Show, again, where, very much that family support made things happen. Yeah. So how wonderful. But it still takes a lot of guts, and a lot of hard work. I mean, what are the hours like running a food truck?
So at the moment, it's not as bad because I'm only open from 4:30 to 8:30, so I only do the evening shifts. Before that, I also covered like afternoon and early morning shifts with the pancakes. That was particularly harder because, you're out all day, but you're also responsible for your buy-in, replying to customers, your social media, your website. You have so many different hats on as a business owner, and especially in the beginning, when you're actually still trying to work it out, like what I'm actually doing, you start chasing your own tail a bit. But right now, it's not too bad. Also, because we've got a 5-month-old baby girl, so
wow.
I get to spend a little bit of extra time at home with her.
Nice.
But the idea is definitely to increase hours and start looking at serving during lunches. But yeah, at the moment, I would probably say I'm doing about 35 to 40 hours a week.
Okay.
Which is still a lot, but before that I was doing like 55, 60, sometimes more.
This is hospitality, baby, as
exactly.
they say. So, Richard, tell us now about how people can find you and taste one of your burgers and your opening times.
Yeah, so best thing to do is follow me on social media, either Instagram or Facebook. I tend to use Instagram more. Every day I post a post in the stories with the daily schedule or the weekly schedule, actually. And you can also find me on the website, chuckaburger.co.uk. There's a weekly schedule on there as well, plus long-term events that are planned and booked for the rest of the year. Serving times in general are from 4:30 to 8:30. In the weekend could differ a little bit, especially when I've got bookings with pubs or beer breweries, which at the moment I have a couple booked in as well. So those times vary a bit. That also means that if I do have a booking with either a pub or a brewery, or I've got a private event catered for, I won't be able to be on Portland Road, where our location is, right outside the church, near Tamworth Road. That's our serving times.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to go down and have one of your burgers. Normally we try to do it the other way around, but you are very new and it's just great that we've been able to have you. And the taste test will be coming. And already you've had such great feedback from people who've had your burgers. Yeah. So the proof is in the eating. So Richard, thank you so much for coming here to the Food and Drink Show studio. And we wish you all the best with Chuckaburger.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Something about a burger. Have you got a favourite burger, Alex?
I love caramelized onion and blue cheese.
You do? Oh, you.
So you don't like a burger? You like blue cheese?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see. But I just like it with salt and pepper. But I do like sort of. It's the salad bits that go with it, and mayonnaise or a likeness. Yeah.
So
salt and pepper,
my burger is actually not seasoned yet. So it's just the beef, and I season it once it's smashed. And it's funny, I found a guy in America, he has like a food lab, and he started showing the difference between a pre-seasoned burger and a unseasoned burger. The pre-seasoned burger became quite rubbery, and the way how they tested it, they had like this big board, and they threw the burger at the board. The pre-seasoned one bounced off, but the unseasoned one stayed stuck on the board. And the reason why is because the seasoning started making the burger a bit rubbery.
Wow.
Yeah. So every little detail has been thought of.
That's fantastic, because I know that with steaks, don't season, it is better to do it after than before, but there is that tendency, isn't there, to do it beforehand.
Yeah.
We have that recorded. You mind if we'll slot that little bit in there,
okay.
Just as a little, because that's great. That's a lovely story,
okay.
There that we And that was Richard Van Megen. What a lovely guy. And I don't know about you, but I definitely now feel like I want to go and eat a burger, and I want to try a Chuckaburger as well too. So inspiring hearing how someone can just have a passion for something, and if you want it enough, make it happen. So good on him. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Now, if you would like to hear this episode going out on Radio Reverb, then just go and find out by following these links as to the show times on Radio Reverb. And don't forget that you can also follow us at Tasty Radio Brighton, and you can follow me as well on social media as Karen Shields Morton. Take care.